The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, UNU Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
I'm a big fish in a small pond, got my days free and the nights long. I create my own reality, who I am is fine with me. As famous as I wanna be, who I am is fine with me. It's who I am, it's who I am, who I am is fine with me.
Hi everybody, it's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. How's it going? Wow, it's March 1st, 2022. We're in a very strange, scary, and serious place in our history. Down the line, if you watch the show and you say, what is she talking about? So, I mean, unless you're under a rock right now, you know that Russia has attacked Ukraine. It's been 6 days of fighting. They're trying to infiltrate, and they're doing what they do, which is try to squash democracy and try to snuff out anything that is good. And in turn, what they didn't expect was how fiercely the Ukrainian people would be fighting. And they have been fighting. And the President Zelensky of Ukraine refuses to leave Ukraine, although he's had many offers from many countries to do so. But he's staying and fighting. I've just never seen anything like it. And I think most of us are moved to tears over what's happening there. Simultaneously tonight, the State of the Union is happening. So thank you, Leo. This was Leo's idea. He said, we can go in and show what's happening there. This is I'm not even going to use the word pivotal because it's not strong enough. This is a hold your breath moment in world history. World history.
We're living it.
We're living it right now. And, I wanted to show this picture. This is my mom and my Uncle Johnny. They're like 2 years apart. This is during World War II. They're in Italy. Look how little they are. So my mother was probably about 4 or 5. My Uncle Johnny was probably about a year behind her. So my grandfather was in the war, in World War II. And my generation grew up listening to stories of our moms and dads and, grandfathers and grandmothers telling stories of World War II and how horrible that time was, and living under Hitler as the world was. And when I think about what's happening now, those same people, sadly my mom passed away, but those same people, like my Aunt Anna, my cousin Rena's mom, she is, sadly, in her lifetime, she's seen that, and now she's seeing this. And the reason that this is so important, because I know that a lot of people have said, well, I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to follow it, but a lot of people are not paying attention, or maybe they don't want to pay attention, or they're pretending not to pay attention. Or they're saying, well, it's far from us. Or they're saying, well, how come people didn't care about other wars or something? This is not just a war in Ukraine, because the devil incarnate.
This is like the high school bully picking on a first grader.
Right. Except that first grader is putting up a hell of a fight.
Oh, yeah. That first grader took jiu-jitsu or something like that.
Yeah, but exactly. But that first grader, if you want to use that analogy, represents everyone in the school. And that's actually a great analogy, and I'll tell you why. Because you wouldn't let a first grader get beat up by a senior, would you? You would step in and help. So we need to really be doing something. Now, I think, let me put on my glasses, Rena Kunyali Berkey has joined us. Hi, sweetheart. Welcome to our show. It's my cousin Rena Crinali-Berge. She is in Massachusetts, and she's joining us tonight. We're doing a little bit of a different show than we usually do. We usually interview people that are in the creative arts, and that's wonderful, and that's what we're about. That's what we do here. Leo and I do that, and I think that we represent people well. I was just talking about Rena, and I talked about your mom, like people like your mom who were a little kid during World War II, and now, as a grandmother, to see that the world is in that direction, can you imagine in a lifetime to see those things? But, and simultaneously, the State of the Union is happening tonight, so they're just greeting each other and things like that. But what I wanted to do, and Leo, we talked about this, what we wanted to do tonight, it just really paid tribute to these people of Ukraine. Like, Leo, that was a wonderful analogy. It's like a senior picking on a first grader, right? And it makes, and the thing is, and to take something from that child. Like, you have everything that you want. How much more does this man want? How much more? Yeah, Rena, exactly. It's all very scary.
I'll tell you, I know what he wants, but I'll tell you what he needs is to take his polar medicine.
Right. Well, nobody that has high self-esteem acts like this.
Mm-mm.
Nobody. You don't like yourself or feel proud of what you've done if you have to go in and take from other countries, from other people, anyone that is just going in and taking from someone else. Look, it's the equivalent of this, and this is exactly how I feel. You live next door to someone, you built a house, you work very hard at maintaining your house. It's a small house, and there's somebody that lives in a mansion next door. And they get very jealous because everybody in your house seems really happy. And they come in and decide that they're going to take your house too, just because they want to. They don't need it. They have a mansion, but for some reason, they want your house. It's the equivalent of that. Now, Leo, what do you think? Should we?
I believe that Biden is going to talk the first third about Ukraine.
Okay.
Which I think is very important, and then the rest is domestic. Whereas it's all important to us.
Yeah,
I thought maybe we should all
show a little of it. Do whatever you think is best, Leo. I trust you.
And we're here to comment.
Yeah.
And thank you to C-SPAN.
And if you want to comment in the comments, please do, folks.
Please do. Please do. And those of you that are willing to join the conversation, you can reach out to Maria or I. So after the president is speaking, then we can join them.
And then Yudenia Mesa is going to be joining us too.
Oh, I love it. She's wearing green and yet blue.
Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justices of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight, we meet as Democrats, Republicans, Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny. Thank you.
Good start.
No.
Oh, the Joint Chief of Staff today.
Six days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
Mm-hmm.
Zelensky, to every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies, everyone from students to retirees to teachers, turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Here's Senator Mesa.
Bright, strong, resolved. Yeah. We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying your European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how he would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia, finally supporting the people of Ukraine.
That's amazing. Putin
is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together,
everybody.
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's not.
They better.
Together, along with we're now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. We're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for you, ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
All right, Leo, should we leave it at that?
He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame.
I think that's right there.
Yeah, okay. All right. So how's the sound? Do we have a...
I think, is there a dryer on or something on?
My dryer?
Or a vacuum?
There's like a sound coming.
Yeah,
Just have the vacuum in the background?
It sounds like a vacuum back there.
I think it's the AC. Let me see.
Oh.
It might be. Judy always has the AC on.
Oh, that's because she's so hot.
Yeah, she's always had the AC on. That might be it. No, it's still happening.
I know. It takes some time to shut up.
Oh, okay. All right. So, anyway, here we are. It was Leo's idea to show some of that, which actually was a great idea. So we could see what that. We still are hearing some kind of weird sound though. Is that me, Leo? Should I go
No,
on?
that's it should go. Wait, let me know when it turns off. And
Oh, there it goes. Oh no, she just unmuted herself.
I did.
Huh? What's happening?
So I just need to get the feedback out.
Why don't you click off and click back on?
No, I think you just need headphones or something that will block that sound coming into your main microphone, if that's okay. But if it's going to turn off in a moment, it's fine.
It's off.
Oh, it's off. That's why I don't think it's that. I think it might just be the maybe the screen. Do we have the TV off, Leo?
Yep, everything's off.
Okay, I don't know why it's... Okay, that just went off. Oh, but that's Judy's...
Yeah.
You know what? Jude, just go off, like zoom off and zoom back on. It might just be a bad connection. Sometimes it is. All right, so you are scrolling all these things. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so sorry, everybody, about the technical difficulties. The AC, yes, Rena, the AC in February. Judy has the AC on every single day of the year. Every day. It's 61 degrees in June. Yeah.
Is it only when I come in?
Yeah.
Okay, take a listen. Yeah, then it's pretty. There's no background noise.
Yeah. You have little pods that you can hear yourself like that?
Well, sure. As long as Judy, as long as you unmute yourself when you're ready to speak, then we're fine.
Okay. All right. So, so this is, I was showing this picture earlier. This is my mom and my Uncle Johnny, my cousin Maurice's dad. This is during World War II in Italy. And, you know, I always look at their, yeah, sure, they're cute, but look at their faces, how frightened they were. And I remember my mother telling me about these pictures and how all the time bombs were always going off. And, you know, we grew up, and Rena will attest to this, that our grandparents and our parents told us stories about World War II and how scary that was. And, you know, this whole thing is making me really, really, really uneasy. And for the whole world. And yet, I mean, these Ukrainians are incredible. I can't stop being inspired and moved by everything that they're doing.
I have to share with you. So you know that sunflowers over the past several years have become the symbol for the Ukrainians' independence. And there's a lady that was in, and it was pointed out to me the other day.
I saw this today. Go ahead, Leo. This is
the Guardian, correct? I think it's right here. Yes. This lady, she had to be, in her 70s, maybe late 60s, 70s. And she just went up to these Russian soldiers and she took it to them. And, oh my God, I love it. There may be some bad language, everyone. But
які вчені? Ви що, росіяни? Якого хера ви тут робите?
Ну, сейчас наш с вами разговор ни к чему не приведет.
Вы оккупанты,
Вы-
вы фашисты, вы
вы-
пришли на нашу землю.
Хорошо.
Какого хера вы пришли
Вы-
с оружием к
Кто
нам?
сказал?
Возьмите семечки, положите сырые,
Хорошо.
чтобы хоть подсолнухи росли, когда вы
Хорошо.
здесь ляжете.
Сейчас наш разговор ни к чему не приведет. Давайте не будем усугублять эту ситуацию. Пожалуйста.
А вы усугублять
Пожалуйста,
ситуацию?
не будем усугублять ситуацию. Наш с вами
Ребята,
разговор ни к чему не
Ребята,
приведет.
положите в карманы
Ничего не
семечки.
решит. Наш с вами разговор.
Я поняла, положите семечки или
Хорошо.
семена цветов.
Я
Вы здесь семенами
я
ляжете.
сделаю.
Вы пришли на мою землю.
Хорошо, я вас
Вы понимаете? Вы оккупанты,
Хорошо.
вы враги.
Да.
И вы уже с этой секунды прокляты.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Get it, Grandma.
Wow. Let's unmute Judy if we can't see if it's still there, that sound. Yeah, it's still there. That's so weird. Because Judy has so much to tell us. Judy, log off and log back on.
It's just her. It's her air. It's so as long as she speaks, that will take up most of the noise. So
I did that. It's not good.
yeah, she's fine. As long, when she's gonna speak, she's gonna unmute herself, and we won't hear that only when she speaks. It's fine.
Okay. So, you know what? Judy, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, Judy. Hit.
Hi. Well, no, go ahead. I don't even, I guess you just start the conversation and I'll jump in.
All right. So
What did you attend to Mesa? What did you think of that lady? Wouldn't you have gone?
I saw it. I think it's wonderful. You know, like I have a very hard time listening to even Joe Biden speak. You know, because I feel like politicians are just, majorly, like basically they're just full of shit. You know what I mean? All the sanctions in the world are fantastic, but the truth is that the biggest sanction for people would be the energy sector, and that has been largely untouched by us and for the rest of the world, right? Because because money, because everybody's afraid of what it's going to do to.
It's so strange. I don't know what that is. It's so weird.
That's the feedback.
Is the other thing still on, Leo?
Do you have another screen open, Judy?
Do I have what open?
Do you have another screen open at all?
Why don't you come into your
Better? Is that better?
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
You know what we can do? If you log on and then log on to your phone, I think that might be more helpful.
Okay.
Let's try that. Because something's up.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So, yeah, that woman. I mean, you talk about guts. These are men with weapons that have come into your country to take over. And you talk about guts like I have never seen anything like it. And I'm sure a lot of these type of things happened all through Europe during World War II. But there was no social media. There was no, you couldn't share things with each other. People couldn't communicate. The communication now is that's really what's doing it. So,
yeah, it makes me laugh. They went for the TV antenna today, I believe. They went for a TV station, and they bombed that. But we've got satellites. I mean, come on, guys. Also, thinking about what Biden said about the information that we had, it reminds me of the old, Cold War, 1940s spy espionage stories that we used to made movies out of and made legendary because of what we went through in 1945.
Yeah, see,
1930s.
Me personally, I like Biden. I know not everybody does. I like him because I feel like he's been around a long time and he's seen a lot and he has a ton of experience. Whether you like him or not, the man has foreign affairs experience that most of those people in the chamber do not have. And not because they don't care to, because they don't have the years in. So I say that there's a lot to be said for people like him, and he reminds me of guys like my grandfather who were so stable and strong. And like now I know that to a lot of people, hi, Jay.
Hi, Jay.
I saw this yesterday. I love this woman. I know she was amazing. But I feel like there's a lot to be said for that kind of stability. Now, I know he's way older than he should be to be a president. But Is Judy rejoined us at all?
She's coming in. She's working that out right now.
Because I don't want her to miss too much of this. And she always has so much to contribute. And I do want to talk about all these different foundations and all these different things that are helping out. Like she told me some just really cool stories of stuff that's happening, like on borders and things like that, and how we can help. Because I really feel like the whole world needs to stick together on this, because this is a true fight this is for democracy all over the world. If Putin can take over one country, or all dictators can take over one country, they can take over many. Look what Hitler did. He didn't just stay in Germany. He invaded all countries. Remember that. We have to stick together.
No,
okay, so much better. So much better.
Yeah. Okay. So the energy sector has, been largely untouched by us and everybody else. They're refusing to put, they're afraid of the backlash that it's going to have, on the world and on the world's economy. But forget about all of that. I think larger than that, what really bothers me is, like, we just watched, a politician on TV who's the president of the United States, and everyone's sitting around, and he's like talking about, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And like people are clapping, and just that whole scene alone is like so inhumane to me. It's like we're picking teams on a football.
I've seen parliaments go at each other fighting in their decorum in their meetings. So I don't understand how that is like. See, I know it's rhetoric, because politics have to go on those.
I personally think it's like you've got to rally people.
No, but it's different when you're rallying. You know who's rallying?
Zelensky.
President Zelensky is rallying people.
Right.
This is just a show. This is just a show. They're clapping like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But people are being killed, and you're actually literally and legitimately, effectively, efficiently, and for real not doing anything. So you're saying that you're doing.
I would not say that. I would not say that.
Well, sanctions don't mean the sanctions that they're doing. Oh, we're not going to let you. You don't understand. Putin is the richest.
Okay, so what do you think we should do? Let's go back to the.
Well, what we should have done a long time ago is not entertained any sort of business dealings with Russia just because it benefited whoever was in government whenever it was happening. Okay, right? So that was the first thing that we needed to do. But now we've allowed. The world has allowed to themselves to do business with a terrorist, because that's what he is, right? He's from the KGB. He's a terrorist, this guy. And so now he's acting like who he is, which is the terrorist. It's not news to anyone. This is who he is. And so everyone's like, oh, we're going to punish him, and we can't help Ukraine because they're not part of the UN, but Russia's part of the UN. Nothing they do makes sense, and it's all geopolitics, and real people die, and real people are suffering, and they're hunting down this poor guy who's by himself with his people fighting.
What's the
solution? So I mean, the solution would be to be able to just kill him. But I don't know how swiftly we can do that without him retaliating. And another solution would be if his own people turn against him, and like they did with Mussolini, something like that. But that is my emotional roller coaster that I've been on this whole entire time, because I see things very clearly, and I do not. I'm not about sides. I don't think Democrats are better than Republicans or vice versa. I think that there are in humans in life, some politicians that are just better human beings than other people. It doesn't mean that they're not all purchased and that they're not all.
Well, that's because we know that is a given. Politicians are purchased. We know that by companies, by groups, blah 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 blah. We know that.
Right.
Now, given where we are, what do we do as people? How can we, the average person, like politicians are going to do what politicians are going to do. News people are going to do what they do. They're going to divide. They're going to be left, right. There's going to be all that stuff, right? But what do we as citizens, because there are, as Michael Isaacs always says, there are so many more of us than there are of them. So what can we, like that woman confronted those people. There are people standing and opening their homes in other countries and saying, come in, you can stay in our basements. We will take care of you. We have clothes. What can we as a people do to help? That's what I'm interested in.
That's usually what happens. what happens is politicians take people and countries to war, and then people have humanity and they help each other. It doesn't fix anything. In another 5 years, we'll go in another war. In another 5 years, I mean, Putin has literally gone to 3 or 4 wars in 20 years because he's obsessed with this idealism that, you know, the old Soviet Union belongs to him in some way. And even though they've asserted their independence, he's gone in there and, you know, implemented like a proxy leadership that does the same thing that he does, and then he pays them. And they, you know, it's still all communist. Ukraine is very wealthy in minerals. It's the biggest land of part of Russia that that used to be part of the old, you know, USSR, that has asserted its independence and has been the closest to becoming part of the West. The people live, you know, very European lives. They want and they you know, and they have a thirst for that freedom. That's why they're fighting so fiercely to protect it, right? They're basically the only land in the country right now. I mean, I don't see any of our politicians. Ted Cruz goes to Mexico when there's a storm. Forget if there's somebody coming hunting him down. You know, I mean,
absolutely. He tried to get up when there was an ice storm.
Exactly. Donald Trump didn't go to war because he had.
And Marco Rubio today, Marco Rubio is not there because he said, oh, he couldn't get a COVID test in time. Mind you, there is a COVID testing spot 100 feet from where they are, literally.
Right. But he's serving on an intelligence committee. How is he allowed to do that and not be?
Well, you know, like,
or an armed intelligence.
This other thing, like I've been hearing a lot of like, there's just so, you know, so like, I was talking to someone a few days ago. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Michael Isaacs, actually, because we send each other voice messages on social media. And, you know, I was telling Maria today, I really have zero tolerance for people that don't understand the importance of the war and how just because it's not happening here doesn't mean it's not going to be happening here tomorrow. Right. And how, like, I can't tell you today I went out, you know, to run errands during my work day, and I can't tell you, I just happened to be wearing Ukrainian colors today. I was wearing a blue thing and I didn't even do it on purpose, and then I was sitting somewhere and I was like, oh my God, how cool. So I went into this place and I mentioned it, and she was like, oh, you look pretty. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I'm wearing Ukrainian colors. I didn't even mean to. And she was like, oh, are you Ukrainian? And then I go, shouldn't we all be right now? Like, we all should be rallying. She was like, oh yeah, I heard something was going on over there, like there was like a war or something. And I can't even tell you, or like I'll just talk to somebody like, oh my God, this is so horrible, what's happening? And they just like are
they blank
unaffected.
Well, this is why I wanted to do this tonight. This is why I wanted to. I thought, first of all, I'm so stressed out and sad about it that I can't focus on anything else. So, you know, and I was talking to Lynn Portis, who also feels the same way. She's so saddened. And I said, we have to dedicate our show to it. Judy was like, we were talking yesterday. She's like, I want to come on your show and talk about this. I was like, definitely, you know. I
haven't stopped watching it since it started. I mean,
I know.
I'm losing sleep because I've been staying up and because we're at such an opposite times, and I know that when we're sleeping, you know, they're recovering, but when we're up now, they're like getting bombed and stuff, and it's.
I know. So okay, so let's talk about let's focus on the positive for now. Okay, so all these things you're scrolling, Leo, did you find those?
So wait, I feel like a few very, I mean, we could talk about this for hours and hours, definitely not long enough, but a few very important ways to combat misinformation, which I think is the biggest, the biggest problem. Is number one, you have to you have to be motivated enough to not just clickbait, right? You can't just click on things that you think fit your scenario. This is not like we're not opposite teams on an NFL, team. It's not the Giants against the, Dolphins. These are actual lives and people. And you have to understand democracy and communism and authoritarianism, very well. And the way that they rule is literally by giving you misinformation.
Of course.
Like I sent you a link, Leo, of Dmitry Petrov, and he was being interviewed just a few weeks ago, and he literally said, Russia, you have to understand, Russia is not a country that ever goes to war. We're not even a country that even likes to say the word war. Like, this is what they're telling their people. And if you're 75 years old and you've lived in Russia all your life and you don't know, now I'm not saying anything about, I mean, there's 75-year-olds that do, that know he's full of shit. But I'm saying, people are believing this type of thing.
Right. Well, there was a lady at the same age as the other lady who was selling the sunflower, a Russian lady, maybe she was about 10 years older, being escorted out of one of the protests in St. Petersburg because she was protesting against Putin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the number one thing is know that this is how authoritarians operate. Misinformation. Right. It's how Hitler did it. It's how Putin did it. It's how Trump did it.
It's how abusive husbands and abusive parents do it.
Yes,
right.
That's how they do it. It's misinformation. Right. So,
it's keeping you isolated from the rest of the world.
Right.
Even
exactly. It's abusive. It's like an abusive relationship. Same thing. Right. Like if you need to keep it secular so that you can understand it globally, then do that. But it's the same. It's the same. It's the same concept. And then number two is if you don't know something, learn. Like I have conversations with Republican friends all the time who. They like literally hang on this one bone when they're trying to prove a point. And in regards to the war, the one point is Biden made us dependent on oil from Russia because in 2019 we were energy independent.
No, we weren't.
We were. But let me ask you: do you either of you know what energy independent means?
But somebody was saying that today. We're not energy independent, and we weren't. We've always.
Can you define energy independent for?
Energy independent would mean that you don't need any other country.
Incorrect. See, and that is what everybody thinks energy independent means.
Okay, so what does it mean?
Energy independent means that in 2019 we produced more crude oil than we used.
Well, we still are.
It does not mean that we did not import.
Oh, okay.
We always are going to import. We do not have enough energy. Our land is not enough. It's not energy efficient enough to just be able to just live out by ourselves. That's not the way it works. So when somebody becomes energy independent, it just means that for that 1 year, we produced more than consumption. Okay, congratulations. That is nothing. And then now, the spike of, gas is up and everybody's like, it's Biden's fault. It's not. We went through the pandemic. Pandemic, no one used gas because we were locked. We were in lockdown.
Sitting there. We had gas sitting there nobody was using.
Right. So you have supply and demand.
You have a sale. They were having a sale on gas.
Yeah, supply and demand. Right? There's a lot of supply, not enough demand. It becomes cheaper. It's regular, very macroeconomics. You should have learned it in high school. I even want to go
further, Judy, on what you said. Like, if you don't know it, learn it. That's right, learn it. If you don't want to learn it, shut up.
Okay, but see, this is the problem. Most ignorant people don't shut up.
I know.
And they don't want to learn. It's exhausting for them.
And even people that do want to learn, they just, when you say energy independent, that sounds very like, oh, that means that we're energy independent.
You know what? No, I just learned something.
Right.
Like, I thought energy independent meant you don't need to depend on. I didn't know that. So guess what? I just learned something. I feel good that I just learned something. I don't feel like, oh, well, why did I know? It's good to open your mind. Now, I do want to get off of this for a minute. And I do really want to focus on what we can do to help as just everyday people. Mm-hmm. So, Leo, you have things scrolling there. Do you want to talk about
these are combined between a little bit of what Judy had sent me. I have the BTC on a different one because that's so hard. That's the Bitcoin here. But I do have some, and I found some that I know that like my parents or other people that don't know the web they would just go to. So like Catholic Relief Services. I know that Ukraine is definitely a religious country. They have their support. So Catholic Relief Services. There's UNICEF, which helps the children.
Yeah.
The Voice of the Children Foundation. You gave me the Global Empowerment Mission, Judy. So that one's right there.
That's Be Strong. That's Bethany Frankel's one. So
good.
like to
Talk about that.
Yeah, I like to donate to small foundations where I can track what they're doing. Just because I've had so much experience with foundations and nonprofits, and they usually tend, if you just do some light research, they usually tend to, donate 1 penny on the dollar, and they keep most of that money for themselves. So I don't like to donate to big foundations like the Red Cross, and stuff like that, because they've, been caught with their hand in the bag before. So really just going directly to Kiev Independent, which is their newspaper. And also that's where I get most of my Kiev news, actually, because they're reporting from Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine. And they have started a GoFundMe page and a foundation to help the people in Kiev, because, they're running out of food. There's no way to get food in to the country because it's being blocked by the Russians. Bethany Frankel, which is amazing, the best thing to come out of Housewives, I think, since the beginning of Housewives.
Yeah,
so at least we can thank Andy Cohen, who is a despicable human being, for just Bethany Frankel. Thank you. And
I agree.
She is setting up tents all around the bordering nations and helping people with flights if they need to get to other places in Europe, with food, with places to stay, with goodie bags, with toys for the kids, like with everything. And she's doing it daily, and I track it because I make sure that, my money's going to the right place. And I think she's an amazing.
What's the name of that foundation?
Be Strong. And then if you go on there, it takes you to the link to donate. Be Strong.
So is it just the letter B, or is it?
Yeah, just the letter B, like Bethany. Be Strong.
Be Strong. Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you have Bitcoin and if you have a wallet and you know how to maneuver your world through Bitcoin, it's going straight to the Ukrainian army, and which they are already using. I think they've used $2.9 million of what's been donated, which has been like 4 million to, I guess, buy arms or whatever it is that they're doing, to defend themselves against the aggression of Russia. So those are my 3 favorite places to donate.
And those are all up, right, Leo?
Yep. Yes, that was the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin's a little bit harder for me to understand because I don't have a wallet like that, but it's all there. We can repost it as well. It's cool.
Now, also, I want to stop for a second. I want to acknowledge people that are on with us. Rena Cugnelli-Bergi is with us. Annette Zito. Hello, Annette. Jay Rivera.
Annette just took my next thing I was going to say. Darn Annette.
What?
And Jose Andres is already.
Yes, that's what. Okay, go ahead, Leo.
And he is serving food. Again, he shows up. This time it's not a natural disaster. It's a Russian disaster. But he is there feeding people and taking care of them and helping out at, I've seen the lines at the border between Poland and Ukraine. The lines are backed up. People are waiting for a lot of little kids and stuff. So he's there helping out. UNICEF is there. The UN Relief has their Ukraine crisis. So if you're familiar with any of these, there's the addresses where you can give, and then you can also reach out to some of the newer ones that you're learning about. There's 2 GoFundMes that you sent me, and then I also found, I don't know the same one, but it says Kiev Independent launch. So that one was started in 2014, and it's continuing for the freedom.
Yeah. And they're also a newspaper.
Yeah, and then there's also the Sunflower one that's on Facebook. It's a smaller group. They are, it's coming up right after the gem one here. They are raising money as well. There we go, Sunflower of Peace.
Wow, that is incredible. And I just, so Annette, thank you for sharing that. Leo knew about it. I didn't know about it. I also, Jeannie Craigie has joined us, Bill Young, Lauren Feeney, Portnoy, hi, sweetheart. Debbie Kane Raymer has joined us. Lots of people. And I know that a lot of people are watching the State of the Union, which I would be if I wasn't doing this. Mm-hmm. And those things are planned ahead of time. Like they plan, what is it, twice a year or something, or whatever it is. So those things are in place. They're scheduled months ahead of time. So it's not like he just took this opportunity to used it. It just happened to fall on it. So, and I personally do like him. I can't help it. I know a lot of people don't, but I do like him. And I agree with you, Judy. A lot of politicians politicians do what politicians do. But that's why I'm like, let's focus on us and what we can do. Today I saw the absolutely saddest thing. This woman, this young mother, like maybe 32 or something. She was with her little girl who was 6. And there was a bomb had gone off. So this little girl was in the ambulance and they were trying to revive her. And I just lost it. I couldn't even breathe. I was so upset. And, this is the kind of stuff that's happening. Like just little babies that are just with their mommies in their little snowsuits walking 50 miles.
And Cooper had a mother of 3. She was breastfeeding at the time of the interview in a bomb shelter, which, as they said, they're not bomb shelters. They're basements, pretty much. And her husband, who was a journalist, decided to stay and fight. So she stayed with them, and they're there in Kyiv, just, surviving, doing what they can. But babies.
That's why I don't know. I feel like we have to do more. Do you guys think? I don't know. I'm always afraid to say this because my niece is in the Air Force. Do you think we should be there fighting?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think, Leo?
I think that we've always anticipated this day, whether it was him or the USSR or whatever, we've always anticipated something like this. And, I think that we should be, it's scary. Oh my goodness. The difference between 1945 and us now is that we had just discovered nuclear power.
Right.
We had just had that. That was the experience then. And then after Hiroshima, we all said, wait, it's just too much. We don't need to. And we went on this path, to protect the world for democracy. And people kept saying that, it was going to happen. And then it became this arms race. And now we have all these things all over, which I thought we were supposed to get rid of. I thought during the Reagan years, we got rid of these things. But I guess Russia never did.
Right. Well, let me stop you for a second. Annette has a wonderful point. And Annette, thank you, because I forgot all about it. It seems like it's not just us, but teams from all the allies would be effective. Okay. Now, when you said teams, I thought of something else. This is one of the things that is blowing my mind. The world has come together. The only ally he has is Belarus, and he basically owns Belarus anyway. So what's the difference, right? But everybody else is against him. Did you know that FIFA today decided to cancel all games, soccer games with Russia? So that means all teams from all over the world, they all decided they don't want to play Russia. So this is a really big thing.
Which really is unfortunate for the players, because it has nothing to do with the players. They don't want to play for Russia either.
No, don't.
You know what they were saying? The last thing I heard on the news today was that there are Russian soldiers literally surrendering, and without not even a fight. And my guess is that they don't want to be fighting. A lot of them were lied to. They were told that these were drills. There's no communication. They go in and they realize we're in a war, and they don't want to be in a war.
They feel like they're brothers with Ukrainians. They've got this.
Their family members live there. It's like us saying Massachusetts and New York, or California and whatever borders. You know what I mean? You have Nevada. I have friends in I have friends in Texas. I'm Mexican. I have friends in Texas. I have friends in California. I'm Italian. I have friends in New York. I have friends in Connecticut. In the Northeast Italians. It's like, why are we attacking each other? It's ridiculous. So they're being lied to, but I do think it's a big deal, because what's going to happen is if the people get angry enough. There's a lot of people in Russia.
That's what I would love to see. That's the part, Judy, that I would, as much as I would love us to go in there and give a backhand to that. Excuse me, I'm going to be a Lavinia here. To that, I think that them taking over their own country and ousting him and giving him the treatment that other leaders that have led them wrong have given, that would be the best one.
That would
Right,
be
but that's very difficult to do when you are unarmed. I mean, for the most part, there, it's like Cuba. That's such a it's a null argument, right? Because Ukrainians are being able to defend themselves right now because they have weapons. They have weapons.
And we keep
But Cuba wasn't able to defend itself because we had no weapons. Russia can't defend itself because they have no weapons, and they have military, and they have they have the police, which is very aggressive. So, like, how are they going to be? The only people that are going to be able to end this are literally the 5 people that surround him in his immediate circle, that just say, that join forces and say, this guy's going crazy, we gotta end him, and something happens like that.
Hey, Russian, study Les Miserables, Russians. Do you hear the people sing?
Yeah.
That's what you need to do, okay, Russian? You know that Latvia allowed their parliament voted to allow people to go fight in Ukraine.
Wow.
If they wanted to. Yeah, they did that 3 days ago. They said, you want to go fight for that? Because they're bordering. It's Latvia and Lithuania, and then Belarus.
Who's to say that this guy is not going to take over Ukraine and then continue?
Yeah, he just wants he wants everything
Ukraine
back.
It's not really so much that he wants to continue, but he's obsessed with this old USSR, the Soviet Union.
He's also insulted that Zelensky got president. He's also insulted.
Yeah, and Ukraine is also very mineral rich, and he wants it. He wants it so that he can. I don't know why, because I don't know. He's worth who knows how much billions of dollars. I don't know what he's going to use it for in his lifetime. He doesn't even have family. But he's just this is how dictators work. I mean. This is how they work. But I think that I don't think us. I think that I think all of NATO. They need to kick them out of NATO first of all. Like, there's no way that Russia belongs in NATO. Goodbye.
He's not in NATO, is he?
Yes.
Are they in the North Alliance?
Yes. Isn't he?
I don't think so.
I don't know, guys.
I don't think
I didn't believe that Russia was in NATO.
That's why Trump wanted to pull out of NATO. Do you remember that? Trump wanted to pull out of NATO. No, Ukraine wants to be in NATO.
Okay.
Is not in NATO. No, he's not in there. Annette says the saddest thing is that that this one guy is creating the problem. Doesn't much sound like the soldiers he's sending there are thrilled about the task. No, they're not. Catherine Salvio has joined us. Hi, Catherine.
Okay, no, they're not. All right.
Not in NATO, right.
So great. He's out of NATO. I think all of the NATO countries need to. I mean, they need to talk, and they need to be like, where is he? Bop it. We gotta get. What are we gonna do?
The one thing that everyone, and rightfully so, is afraid of is
civilians.
Because if we do, the nuclear weapons.
I know.
Because if we don't, they're close enough where he can strike range. I know that we have anti-nuclear weapon system. I know that we have all we have all that stuff that we've built, but I guess it's like I tell the kids all the time when they come to school, we're supposed to do things at the 100% to keep you safe as much as we can. That's the last resort. Right. And this guy's just willy-nilly ready to push buttons because the feather's not tickling or whatever. So it's like,
I know, that's why this is so crazy.
That's a scary thing.
You know what's so sad though, you guys, is that really in our own government we have such a huge rise in this authoritarianism, you know what I mean, in our own government. That's why there's this ginormous divide where people literally still say things to me Trump, this wouldn't be happening under Trump, and I'm
God.
Why is that a thing? Why
he was blackmailing them? He was people that are out there.
Wouldn't be happening. Trump wouldn't give weapons to Ukraine. He said unless you take him dirt on Biden. So that's the first time he was impeached. It was for that.
He was
take us out of NATO.
Right. I mean, he literally was making the way for Putin to be able to invade
Because
Ukraine without us
he
retaliating.
loves dictators. He loves dictators.
Yeah.
Right. Love. He is a dictator.
Right.
No, he's only the first 4 letters of that word. 3.
Okay, but his favorite, he said it himself, his favorite political person of all time is Mussolini. Who the hell says that?
I can almost hear him. I know something that is going to happen to you if you don't give me these Biden things, and I'm not going to say it now because I'm not going to tell you. But if you don't give me this or that, quid pro quo. I bet you he did that to his people. He did that to his tower. He's a liar, and he needs to be
right. But all these fools on a stick that believe him. I mean, I'm not going to mention names, but I saw the craziest thing the other night. A Facebook friend of mine had a like, you know how Batman used to have that thing?
Oh my God, I've seen that so many times.
They had the Trump thing and it said what the world needs now.
I know. Everybody in the world now. I'm like, what is happening right now?
I almost wrote, you gotta be kidding me. But I said, I'm not gonna engage with that person. Because we made a promise not to engage. Because
he's gonna take one country. He would have allowed that person to take this country, and then guess what? We would have been up for sale, ladies and gentlemen.
We already are.
Would have been up for sale with that last president.
How do we know what he already told them? What he already gave them?
And it makes so much sense to me now more than ever why they fought so ferociously for Hillary not to get into the office. And that was because she was not going to play games. She was not going to, because a woman, this is how we are. Like we're like, no, we're not going to be abused by your
stupid, got a hold of Trump beforehand. He got the election in.
Yeah. So that's why they were like, everybody, including our people in our own.
Remember when she called him Putin's puppet during that debate? She was so ahead of the game.
Because she knew they know what's going on.
And all these, and by the way, Republicans that have taken money from Russia, Mitch McConnell, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and there's a couple more.
Oh yeah, Marjorie Greene, the lady from Hawaii. I forgot her name.
Oh God,
There's a lot of them. This is what he does. This is what he does.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Maria, all this discussion is getting me hungry.
I know. I did make food, but then I was like, we're so enthralled. Okay, let me talk about the food, and then we're getting close to the end of our show.
You can't get me all riled up and then not feed me.
I know. All right, so here's what I made for tonight's dinner, because I'm back on trying to eat healthy. I have to. I cannot fit into my pants. That's my rule. Okay, so I got flounder, delicious flounder, and I marinated it.
Here come the ingredients.
Never mind.
No,
please, I was just kidding.
Oh, she always makes fun of me. Okay, so I marinated it in garlic, in white wine, in dill, because I love dill, and it's very simple, salt and pepper, and a little bit of onion salt. Now, what this has in it is scallions. What I cooked it in is scallions, red peppers, and sugar snap peas, which I love, and black olives. And it's so good. I already have. And then for salad,
you use fresh dill or like dry dill?
Fresh dill. Yeah, I love it. But I also continue with the dill. Dill's really big in that part of the world. I didn't want to be like a fool and make like a Ukrainian. That was ridiculous. I also don't know how to make that stuff. So, but I did. Dill is very big there. So I made a salad. I had red leaf lettuce, baby cucumbers, beets, red beets, which I love, Bermuda onion, and blue cheese dressing with more dill. More dill. Dill is the name of the game tonight. And then, because I'm trying not to eat dessert, but I need dessert, I have blueberries and raspberries here. I'm going to put a little bit of whipped cream, and then I won't feel so bad. Yeah, Judy always makes fun of me because I have which she's right. I have 7,000 ingredients.
But that's what layers of flavor. Layers of flavor.
Yeah, but Judy uses like 3 ingredients, and it's delicious. I don't know what. I'm always like, oh my God, what'd you put in here? And she's like, cumin, salt, and pepper. I'm like, this is the best I've ever had. She's like, that's all I. So, layers of flavor. Yes, Annette, I want you to remind me what night you're going to be on our show. I know I have it in my book, but Annette does the Oscars. She creates menus for the Oscars. And I have had Annette on, I think, the last 4 years, where she's joined us with, I think she's going to be on the Tuesday after the Oscars. And we can talk about March 29th. Thank you, Annette. So put that in your calendars, everybody. Annette Zito, great friend, and Kitchenette. She runs Kitchenette, which is this amazing site that she has all about food and recipes, and she really goes all out.
Hey, talk about a hero there. This girl's been through a lot this past year, and she's still got Oscar food out there. Mwah.
Annette is incredible. So, Annette, we love you, and we really are very, very impressed with all your stuff. So, Annette's going to be on our show the 29th. I got a couple really good things coming up this month. For a while there, I wasn't planning much because I didn't know the way the world was going, but I think we're back on track. Shows are running again now. Our mask mandates are being lifted, I think, this week, indoor places. Although we, as bartenders, we don't wear them anymore. And all that, but in schools and stuff, we still have to wear them. So I think that's being lifted this week. So a lot of great things are happening.
They're being lifted, but you can still wear one if you want to.
Like I went to the supermarket today and I wore one.
I got kids. As much as I love them, I've worked with kids all my life. I always get a cold or a summer thing when I work with kids, so I keep them.
Judy and I were talking about this. When you're around kids, you're going to get sick.
Yeah, I don't know why. Love me.
I know, that's true. All right, so we have come to the end of our journey here. Judy, you want to jump on and say something to end the show?
Peace.
Thank you, Honey Bunny, for joining us tonight, for joining. Leo, thank you for everything you do. I would be I was actually in a panic because I was on the wrong StreamYard and there was no Leo. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do without Leo?
And I was I'm like, well, she's cutting it close tonight. She must be really busy.
I was on the wrong StreamYard from another week. Anyway, so I want to leave you with this. We must remember that our forefathers did not die in vain. Our grandparents did not fight in World War II so that we could hand over our democracy to dictators. And there are dictators in this country, remember that. We fought for democracy. We are the United States of America. We are democracy. Do not ever take that for granted. Fight for it. Vote in every election. Get your friends to vote. And if your other friends are misinformed, inform them. Don't hate, educate.
If you guys have a question about what patriotism is, you look at those people right now that are staying and fighting. You look at that president who has not left his people or his country.
Yep.
And
today,
all your friends.
At the UN, he came across video and the interpreter started crying.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
Oh my God. That is a hero. That's a hero. People stood up, and when the Russian diplomats started talking, they all
left
out.
You know what he said? Zelensky said today, it was amazing. He says, you know what? He told CNN, I am not iconic. Ukraine is iconic.
Oh my God.
And that's somebody who's selfless.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna leave you with that. Thank you, everybody. I know we're veered off from our entertainment, but I felt like in my heart of hearts we could not just walk through this. It would have been like Judy said with today, like all the people she talked to were like, "Oh, I know something's happening." No, we have to be as a citizen of the world. We have to take time sometimes and talk about what's really happening. Next week, we go back to our entertainment format. Leo, I want to thank you for everything that you do for us. Judy Mesa, Senator Mesa, as Leo calls you, thank you, honey, for coming on with all your information.
Senator Mesa against Putin.
Oh, thank you, Simpson. I just felt like it was important. And you know what? I hope Ukraine, not I hope, they're kicking ass, and God bless them. Continue. We must help them. Donate to these things. Whatever you need to. Oh, also, the little Ukraine in New York, which is the biggest Ukrainian population in our country, is in New York City on the Lower East Side. Please, New Yorkers, go and spend money at their restaurants because they are trying to send money home to their loved ones. Go and spend money at these places.
They have
And-
a type of pierogi, Maria, you know that.
I know. I love Veselka. That's my favorite. And Odessa, all those places. I love it. Okay, we love and appreciate you. We'll see you next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Ukraine.
Yes, prayers for Ukraine, and we send our love out. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Fine with me. It's who I am.